I've got my pre-workout. So right now we have the Ghost Legend. I'm about to train back. Looking at my previous Q&As, I think I'm becoming much better at just breaking down my thoughts and giving concise information. So yeah, while I'm sipping on my pre-workout, we're going to start churning out these questions and I'll give you my best and accurate answer on anything and everything based on this question. So guys, let's dive in. So the first question is from Seb Fit. Props to Seb. I should follow this kid. I think he's quite young. Digging the content. Awesome stuff. So Seb said, what's the biggest lesson you've learned when it comes to building the lifestyle you have? So when it comes to the lifestyle, what Seb is saying is, how am I able to seemingly do the things that I do, which is typically run a business, train, and make content for living, right? In the grand scheme of things, it always looks relatively easy. You have to be structured and regimented if you want to do this for a prolonged period of time. So one thing that I've learned is to be organized throughout the day, because when I left university, I didn't really have a structure. So this lifestyle has taught me to be more organized than I've ever had before. I'm trying to run a team. I say try because it's a very difficult thing to do. I'm still quite young. And I'm still figuring it out in terms of building a business. So yeah, one of the biggest things has been living on my own. So I've recently realized that I really enjoy my personal space. Have you tried HIIT training with one top set to all out failure? So HIIT training, high intensity interval training, going all out to failure on the top set. Yeah, it works. So I use HIIT as a form of improving my technique when it comes to running. And yeah, your top set, you have to go all out. I think it does help. There's no point holding back. On the last set, go flat out. And it'll give you, it'll help you push the threshold and your limit when it comes to how much you can push, right? So from your previous session, next week you'll be able to know that you can either go 60 seconds longer or you can run that a little bit faster. I'll try to blast through these. Another question from Kieran. So Kieran's asking if you experimented with lighter weights and pump training in the 15 plus rep range. So I think you need to look at rep ranges as a set of tools, especially when it comes to hypertrophy training. Different muscle groups respond differently to different rep ranges. So I typically find that with legs, they definitely require a higher rep range to get the stimulus and the response that you're looking for, especially from a muscle building perspective. Obviously, if you're a strength-based athlete, you want to focus on the lower rep ranges. So anywhere from 3 to 5, 1 rep max if you're a powerlifter. So yeah, quite often I do 15 to 20 reps, either on legs, back especially, and then during my drop sets. So typically my drop sets, I go flat out. Next question. I can't pronounce your name, bro. Sorry about that. All right. How do you balance all your businesses whilst delivering high quality in each one? High quality, that is definitely something that I'm figuring out. I guess on the surface level, it does look high quality. I think production value in terms of what you see is definitely high quality. But in the back end, I think I can see myself spreading too thin, especially as a leader in my position, right, in terms of what I can do across all businesses. So in the very near future, my goal is to hire someone that can substitute my role. So right now with creation, with the team, they're able to do multiple roles. So we're very, very lean in terms of how we operate and very versatile, right? Which means the motion graphic designers, props to Seb and Alyssa, they can handle the production and also the customer service. And then when it comes to stay dedicated, so what I'm doing right now is I've offloaded any pick and packing in terms of orders to a 3PL. So a 3PL essentially is a company which handles the logistics of picking and packing and posting to you guys. So when you receive your parcel, someone's responsible for that. And typically it's an agency or a company, right? And obviously they take a fee out of that. As I progress, things are becoming smoother and better, which is good. But I wouldn't recommend starting 3 separate businesses as a, from the get-go. Start with one business. So a great example is we launched the creation app as an MVP, a minimum viable product, which means it was a very basic tool for a very specific purpose. and it gave us very specific feedback from the user. And from there, you take that feedback and you apply it and you improve the product, right? So if you're going to start a product or a apparel brand, clothing, start by selling 2 t-shirts, black and white, in small, medium, and large. That's it. Or just small and medium. If you can sell out those small and medium t-shirts in black, then you can come back and order more, potentially 20, 30, 40, or 50, divide that by 2, small, medium, and then you increase the range of your offering as you sell out, as you progress. I wish I knew this at the beginning when I started Stay Dedicated. Instead, I went all out. I think then it was a lack of knowledge and experience, and I didn't have anyone around me that could educate me on how to best launch a product and how to test the market. But the biggest struggle is maintaining quality across the businesses, right? So manpower, I think from all 3 businesses, I definitely need more manpower across the board when it comes to marketing, content creation, and production, especially with creation. So those are the things I'm working on. So if you're experienced as a graphic designer or someone that understands operations, feel free to reach out. I'm always looking for ways of creating new opportunities. So how often do I take creatine? So I take creatine once a day, every day. You can cycle on and off. Sorry, 3 months on, 1 month off. So how many current and planned income streams do I have? So at the moment, I believe I have 4. So creation, Stay Dedicated, and the creation app, I guess you could put that as 1. And I do have a digital product when it comes to content creation, and that is 4. Lean 360 would be the 5th one. Lean 360 is based on training and nutrition programs, and one-to-one coaching. So that's still in motion. We're working on building the app. Right now, there's a huge delay because I'm facing issues with the developer. Yeah, you have to diversify, obviously, in case if one goes wrong. But definitely building what I've built has been very, very difficult. Through my content creation side and sponsorships, I was able to obviously have the capital to reinvest into my businesses. So obviously through that was a huge learning curve, by the way. So it's not perfect. So I reinvested back into the businesses. Now I finally have a foundation where these businesses generate an income. So I'm more proud of the fact that I've managed to create a self-sustainable system, right? So all I want to do is make content and just be paid for it. And I want that to be a surplus of cash. And I want that to be my main source of income. So rather than paying myself through my businesses, which I don't up to this point, but yeah, I want sponsorships to be the main source of revenue for my personal expenses. That's just my take on it. And then if I ever sell a business, at least I can make my return of investment through that. I hope that makes sense. So basically what you're saying is, how do you elevate your training when you've hit the wall, or where you've hit a point where you feel like you're not progressing? Rest days or a rest week. So recently I've started doing 5 weeks on, 1 week off. So 5 weeks of intensive training, progressively increasing my workload, and then taking a deload for 1 week. I would like to, in that deload week, I would prefer to do a little bit of cardio, some stretching, some weight training here and there, right? So that's a method which you can use to continuously see progress when you feel like you've plateaued. And I recommend that, and it's very effective and it's proven to work quite well. How do you keep yourself hungry and motivated after years? So one thing that I've realized is you need to almost develop another source of motivation. And the word motivation doesn't really exist anymore. So it's a sense of discipline which enables you to consistently do something repeatedly and see results. If you do enjoy doing what you do, it's somewhat easier because you don't really need motivation. For me, training, I don't need motivation. I can take 2 weeks off and I'll come back and it's almost like I never left. The only thing when that happens is just waiting for my body to catch up with the mental state in terms of the drive, obviously, to push a lot of weight. Yeah, it's not so much motivation, it's more discipline and the passion. But if you ever get to a point where you find it extremely difficult to be motivated for the gym or anything else, take a break. I think in today's society, we need to, we need to take more breaks. We're always doing shit. So take a break, figure it out, let your mind rest, mind, body, and soul rest, and then go again. It's that simple. Through that, you'll be excited to come back and, push much harder than before. So whether you're pursuing a business, training, or a specific goal, take a moment to rest, reflect, and come back. And I guarantee you will be motivated to push harder. So taking the same principles from the progressive overload, 5 weeks on and 6 weeks off, you can apply that to life. 3 to 6 weeks intense work, and then 1 week deload where you take a break or go on holiday. Why do you do drop sets a lot? I enjoy doing drop sets because it allows me to further fatigue the muscle which I am training, right? So drop sets are a good way to intensify your workout, and it just allows me to intensify the workout. As a byproduct of that, the pump is unreal, and it's fun. I think it's because I really do push the limits of what my body is either capable or my mind, right? So it's purely to intensify my workout, which as a byproduct will yield great results. Or that is just the phase you're in. Yes, my fats have always been relatively low, but I think I might change that in the near future. So go for a high protein, low carb, high fat ratio diet and see how that works out. But I've always gone for a high protein, moderate carbs, low fat diet. It's always worked for me. Your insulin responses, you can actually manipulate that to lose fat. So that's something that I've recently been educating myself on. If you are insulin resistant, it makes it very hard to lose body fat. How do you maintain traveling, business, and training all at once? So very similar to the first question. I think traveling was a very specific segment of this year and the back end of last year. Ultimately, what I found is I personally need a foundation or a place that I can come back to, right? That is stable and consistent, aka my environment. This space allows me to work, stay focused, and when it comes to training, be very regimented with my training and my food. When you travel, that becomes extremely hard. So you may have recently realized or noticed that I lost a lot of weight. 8 months ago, I was on a TV show, 1 week of intensive filming, eating 3 meals a day or less, and I lost a lot of weight. And then after that, I went on a traveling spree. Spent a lot of time in Spain, went to Dubai, which was sick. That was by far the hardest challenge. Working, that was okay because I could either work on the plane, I can work in the airport, I can work wherever I'm at any given moment. So that wasn't too bad. I still proceeded as if everything was normal in the sense that the routine that I have now, when I had the opportunity to train, I would train. Are you happy? So this is from Steve Bizanti. Shout out to Steve, doing bits with his clothing line. Am I happy? Yes. Right now, I'm probably the happiest I've ever been. 2 years ago, I think I fell into like a kind of depression cycle. Funny enough, I actually asked Steve because he used to be my videographer. And I said, Steve, all those times you were filming me, did I look down or was I depressed at any point? And yeah, he said that, because I was caught in this rut of just working, I was just very automated. I was very robotic, right? I just didn't show any emotion. I think deep down then I was quite low because I didn't really have a sense of purpose. I was just stuck in this hamster wheel of productivity and just working my ass off in the gym, outside the gym. And I did that for 2 years straight. And obviously it's great for business, but it's not good for your longevity and happiness. So I learned how to balance my life out now. Hence why now you see more lifestyle content where I'm out doing things with my friends. And the goal moving forward is to do the things that I truly enjoy outside training. I think those are the things that bring another level of happiness. All right, on to the next one, the pre-workout starting to hit. All right, why 5 weeks of training before a deload? So the logic behind that is 5 weeks gives you enough time to have enough data and information to gauge your progress, right? So if you're doing a bench press, if you keep changing between a bench press, a machine press, or dumbbell press as your main exercise, it's going to be very difficult to gauge your progress if you're plugging all the information on a chart before you repeat the cycle, right? So it gives you enough of a time frame to get good at the movement, get enough information, and see if it's working, and see how much progress you've made. And then once you take a deload, you allow your body to rest, and then you decide to either go again or change that specific movement or routine to a new one. So I used that protocol back when I was 16 when I started training, right? This is mad. So I would stick to the same routine for 3 months, and then after that, I would change it. And bear in mind, at the time, in terms of programming and understanding progressive overload, in terms of like the technical information that you read on articles and you see on YouTube channels, that some of the influencers were not talking about stuff like that, right? But that is something that I had within my protocol when it came to programming and training, right? Which is quite fascinating. So yeah, that is essentially how I break it down. If I were to speak to my younger self at 18 years old, keep doing what you're doing. 1, educate yourself on business. 2, try more things in other areas. 3, build more friendships and relationships. 4, the program I say it in. Don't be afraid to try something new or something different, right? I think those are the things I would give my younger self. Why do you do what you do, and what is it all for? I think for me, ultimately, obviously my answer has changed a little bit, but in the grand scheme of things, the foundation for this is financial freedom, hence why I've started businesses, right? To create financial freedom, have purpose, aka discover my why, and have an outlet to express myself. And that means either creatively in the gym by pushing myself physically and mentally, and then kind of my inner peace. So the ultimate reason why I do what I do is to eventually be in a position to support my family and my extended family, because my extended family based in Africa, Zimbabwe, that is where I was born. So just being able to help the community back there would mean a lot for me. And just having my friends and family involved in the things that I'm interested in, right? To share that experience with me. Yeah, I think that means a lot for me. And as I mature into this thing, I've realized that for me, it's definitely more the experiences in life. So it doesn't come cheap. So if you want to experience the best of life nowadays in this capitalistic society, a lot of money. And obviously I'm not very bougie, but I just want to experience cool stuff, right? I've always liked cars. Now we're kind of diving into the materialism. I've always enjoyed cars, bikes. I grew up riding bikes. So being able to also have a lifestyle in that'll be cool, right? Because again, I would love to have like a project car and travel cool places. So ultimately having the freedom to travel and having the freedom to also help the people around me once I've, obviously built myself to a position where I'm stable. So I hope that kind of summarizes your question there, Steve. Breezy Fitness, what does it require to start a business? Almost nothing. So for me, it's, it didn't require anything to start a business to some extent. The first option was to educate myself on building a skill. So to start a business, it doesn't require a lot, depending on what you want to do. So the barrier to entry is very low. So if you teach yourself how to use a camera, again, I guess you would need to get a camera, but even your phone, learn to use your phone and how to film, learn to edit. You have yourself a service which you can film for either your friends, local businesses, or whoever. If you become very good and talented at that, you can make a lot of money. Graphic design, as long as if you have a computer, you can teach yourself graphic design watching YouTube tutorials. I say that strongly because that is what I've done. In school, there's certain curriculums that help. For example, I've always been quite creative and I've always enjoyed being creative, right? In some ways, I've allowed myself to explore certain subjects to further educate myself on product design photography, fine art, right? So these things have taught me how to either, if I want to start a clothing line, how to design my product, how to understand the user, understanding materials and compositions and so forth, fine art or art principles, you know, and how to work a camera, all that kind of stuff. You can either learn in school or through YouTube, and through that you can start a business. You can start selling, you know, bananas if you wanted to. You can start selling something, right? So that will give you enough momentum to then leverage what you've made, reinvest and build something bigger. So what I did through university, I started sharing or servicing my skills in product design, photography and videography to edit and film some big names in the industry at the time. And yeah, I made some cash on this side, took that money, it paid for my bills, and I started a business on top of that, and I bought equipment. And then fast forward, you know, through posting and making content, sponsorships, took that money, did the same thing, built creation, stayed dedicated, and now lean 360, right? So that's essentially how you can do it. It's very scalable. Start small, find a low barrier to entry. Anything that you can start without having to put any cash down is a good opportunity to get started. You know, reach out to your favorite creator, and like, if you can see a specific problem that you can solve on their behalf, do it for free. And then when you've provided value, I'm pretty sure they'll pay you pretty quickly. And yeah, that is how I've managed to build my team over the years, because they used to follow me. Seb and Lisa used to follow me, and progressively, you know, I've educated them and taught them, you know, how things work and allow them to grow. And yeah, I don't think they regret the decisions that they've made. And for me, it was a great opportunity to become a better leader and do what I do. Need to grow my legs. Best recommendation: protein and training style. So if you want to grow your legs, squats are great, but they're not mandatory. Implement both volume and low rep ranges. So 10 to 20 reps, heavy weight. It's not easy, it's ugly. And definitely your lower rep ranges, heavier, 5 to 8 reps. And do your big four, is what I call it: your squats or your leg presses, your leg extensions, and your lunges. Those will build your legs, especially your quads. And then for your hamstrings or your glute and posterior chain, your deadlifts, your RDLs, your reverse line leg curls, those kind of things, right? So I like to split my leg workouts into two: quad focused and hamstring focused, right? So try that and let me know how that works out for you. And in terms of protein intake, I have a very high protein intake, so 200 to 300 grams of protein a day. But if you can consume up to 200, you're in a good position to build some serious muscle, given that you are training very hard. So give that a shot. Bro, please, can you drop some tips on how to become a fitness influencer? So how do you become a fitness influencer? This is a very simple answer. Focus on building yourself first, and if you make good or significant progress within that, naturally people will tend towards you for help and advice to be in the same position. To be in a position of influence, you need to position yourself either in a position of authority or a position of influence, whether that's education, motivation, right? There's many different categories. Through that, you will attract people, right? You essentially need to attract, not chase, and be motivated or inspired by you. And then you become a person of value and influence. That blueprint can be applied to anything. Essentially, the people that you follow typically are the people that are either in the position that you want to be in, or they're very entertaining, or they have something that you want, or something that you feel like you can learn from. Adopt those characteristics, become that person, and make content around your journey, and then help people as you grow and become, you know, a better version of yourself. It's a very simple blueprint. And on top of that, post a lot of content. Posting frequency matters. I've always been an advocate for posting a lot of content, and it's worked in my favor long term. That pretty much sums up all the questions. All right, well, just to summarize everything that we spoke about, when it comes to becoming an online creator or an influencer, don't pursue that route as being this person that is famous, gets all the sponsors and the money. That is a wrong way of looking at it. The way I've looked at being the person that I am today has always been to be very good at what I do, share that experience with people, and if I can help at least one person, and on anything that's relatable, that is a good start. And just based on that simplicity, it's actually helped me massively. Met some of the most amazing people. And when it comes to business, don't be scared. Start small, launch your first MVP, test it, and then order a couple more things if it's a product-based business, and progressively scale. I wish someone told me that at the beginning. And thirdly, educate yourself on anything that you want to learn or figure out, whether it's, how to use a camera, how to edit, how to start a business, how to write a business model or a business plan, little things like that, right? There's so much information online. It's almost becoming too easy nowadays, especially with AI and how you can leverage AI or create an income for yourself. Lastly, regarding happiness and mental health, take time out. I think I learned this just from my own experience. I have a habit of pushing things too hard in every facet, in every extreme. When it comes to training, my mental drive and mental push, and even sacrificing my own personal happiness in order just to make progress. I've been there, done that. So take a moment to take a break and reflect. This is something that I've learned through the people around me and something that I've learned through life itself. I think life is all about making those mistakes and knowing and learning from those obviously mistakes and moving forward. That's all it is. So the difference between me and you, at this point, I've made enough mistakes to know not to make the same mistake twice, right? And see some success through that and just go from there, right? Teaching yourself is probably the best habit you can get into because no one can take that away from you. It's a mental state. Guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to win anything from Ghost, give me one reason, I'll figure it out. So basically, I'm going to do a giveaway. And in the comment section, I'll put the giveaway instructions. Every other video, I'll start doing a giveaway for Ghost because obviously they want me to include you guys in the relationship that we're building together. And I think that is awesome. You guys get free products. You get to actually experience how good the products are and what makes them such a great brand. So yeah, if you want to win, follow the instructions. Guys, thank you very much for your time. Catch you on the next one. Ciao.